I believe I'm on now. So I'm going to welcome you all to our community gathering. Some of you may remember and some of you may not, but as a board, we promised to try and meet for these community gathering Q&A sessions about once a quarter. We've made that promise and we're going to continue with that. And so I'm going to give a brief outline of our agenda, and then I'll let Reverend Megan take it over. So today some of the key points are, number one, what has your board been doing? Woo! That deserved a, right? What has your board been doing? Action steps that are ready now that we all will be able to take. Our pledge campaign for 2023-2024, which is seeing our prosperity grow like a tree. And a review of what is consistent intentional giving, and a couple other things with that. Things to watch for that will be coming up in the future, as well as a review of our ongoing transformative process. When we were searching for a minister, it became clear that our community wanted to be mission-centric. Moving from, well, I don't know if it was that way before, but to move into a mission-centric type of community. And so we have some handouts on that, which we can go through later, but we created a organizational chart of accountability to help it be clear about who reports to who in the organization, if you will, of our spiritual community. And then also, because I just found this document that comes from Unity Worldwide Ministries, a little bigger than just us. But I found it to be so helpful and interesting about what are member functions, what are minister functions, what are the board functions. And it helps people to understand what each of us hold as our action space, right? And then also about a really cool definition of what is the shifting paradigms from minister-centric to community-centric to mission-focused, which is where we want to go, according to what our community had indicated, right? So I thought I would share these with everybody. They're just up here if you want them, or I can pass them out. Yes, David?
Are those also going to be on the e-blast? Or
we can make that happen.
Yeah, there's a lot of words on the handout, but we'll see if we can make that happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a link to it. Just create a link to it.
I'll work on
Yeah,
some
I'm pretty
things.
sure there's a way to make that happen.
Yeah.
I just don't want to say for 100% until I talk to the technical powers that be.
My brain's already thinking, how can we do that? So, and then of course we'll open it up to questions from everybody that's here.
Including online. So we want to make sure
online?
that online people can ask questions.
Do we have any, you're watching online, perfect.
Those two are there.
Thank you. All right, and the board, of course, every one of us, thank you for those who are able to be here today, will come up and answer any questions once we kind of go through the agenda. At this point, I'll turn it over to Reverend Megan to kick us off with, so we're not bragging, what our board's been doing.
Well, but I do want to just set the intention with an opening prayer.
Yes, I apologize. That's always a great, let's start at the very beginning.
Because we've been busy, and it's like our energy all over, so let's bring it back. We're just to bring our energy back and just breathe into this moment. We hold the intention of our spiritual community, of the beautiful souls that choose to be a part of Unity of South Sound. And to be aware of, as we co-create as a spiritual community, who are we, why do we exist, and what is it that we're setting into motion to co-create together to thrive, but also to make a difference in the world around us. And so we honor everyone that chooses to be a part of this process with us. We also open the door as an invitation to anyone that is curious and looking to find a community such as ourselves, to know that they are welcome here. There is room for them here. So we expand that space in this moment right now. And in a deep sense of gratitude for being a part of the wonder and the curiosity of life together, we give thanks, and so it is. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Mel.
All right, so I'm going to go in and fill in the gap with some of the key things that Michelle just shared with you. What I think is really important is that for you to know what the board and I've been doing, and I like to call it our leadership team, because it is a team of leaders, and each one of them brings skills and gifts and a commitment, and collectively it's a sounding board of discernment, the process of how we're co-creating our community, and and what needs attention. And so one of the things that we made a commitment to at the beginning of this year was to be a part of Unity Worldwide Ministries program called the Power of Focus Ministry. And it's really going to be about a 2+ year process, because our goal is not to rush through anything just to check off a list and say we did something, but it's to be very intentional about it. And this program is designed in 3 phases. And we are very excited to know that we are pretty much concluded the first phase, which is called discernment, which is defining who we are as a ministry, not who we want to be, but to be very clear with who we are now, the demographics of our membership, and why we exist as a spiritual community based on our current ministry demographics, so that we use that as a planning foundation and know that it's organic, it's not set in stone. And one of the things we discovered is how well we can talk things to death. It's like we can talk things over and over, and what we've learned from the guidelines from Unity Worldwide Ministries is make a decision, put something in place, and then move forward knowing that it can be revised and edited and redone later. But we don't want to just spend our time talking about things. We want to put things into action. And so that's why I just have to let you know that I am so honored by the commitment of our leadership team that not only has a monthly board meeting where we discuss the business of Unity of South Sound, but also to make a second monthly commitment where we come together just to focus on our visioning and this Power of Focus ministry process. And it's all about having action steps so that we're setting into motion this action, and then we review it, and then what's the next step, so that each meeting ends with what's the next step, so that there's an engagement here. The second phase that we're moving into in the new year is called analysis. It is reviewing each of our ministry, areas of our ministry, to consider how it serves our vision and identity as our primary focus for future expansion and development. And we've been guided to say it's like select 3 primary focus areas. Not that you're excluding anything or that you wouldn't be doing any attention on things that are already in place. But in order for us to really empower ourselves to thrive is to focus in on what are the primary areas that we benefit from. And then as we evolve and as our community expands, then we will have more participants to expand into a greater focus in other areas. And that can be challenging because part of us we don't want to exclude anything. And yet, if we dilute ourselves too much, then the empowerment of transforming things and really allowing things to gel doesn't happen. And so what we'll be doing in the new year is to really be starting with fresh eyes to revisit every area of our ministry as if we've never been here before. Because it's really easy sometimes to look at things, it's like you're familiar with it, it's like you don't notice how it might feel if you were here for the first time. Are we providing everything that somebody might be looking for? Are they able to find it? Is it really welcoming? Are our words and our actions in sync with each other? So we'll be taking some intention around that. And the third phase is called redesign. And it's about, after the research and analysis, that we strategically redesign every area of ministry to set into motion an intentional plan in support of who we are and why we exist, and what will serve us to thrive in the changing world we live in. And it doesn't mean that everything will be completely changed so you won't recognize it. It means that we look at what serves us still, and what could we add to expand, enhance, and bring more into, so that it actually supports a thriving ministry of the future. And that will be an intentional model for us moving forward. So we will be inviting you, our membership, into participation in our action steps as they're defined and as we're ready. Because if we have to have the clarity before we know what would make a difference for you to be involved in. And we're getting ready for you to do that. So one of the steps is, my intention is that everything we do and everything that is to see a positive demonstration from it. And so we do have a shortfall in our finances. And a lot of that comes from the changing world outside of us that we have no control over, coming out of a pandemic that nobody could plan for, and the call for finding our way through that, setting in motion things that maybe we weren't ready to do all the time, like online 100%. And that through that process, a lot of people have just kind of floated away. And there are still some that are sort of around the peripheral, but not everybody was engaged or contributing financially to who we are. And so part of our intention now is to find ways to re-engage those that may like to still be a part of our community, that are maybe watching online and not able to come physically, but if you can, inviting you, because the vibrational energy of what we experience in person is so much more empowering than when watching online. You really do miss some of that. We know some of our community has moved on. And because there's so much online, it's really easy to sort of church hop, stay in your jammies, be comfortable. I get it. I would do that too if I could, but I have a commitment to be here. And I appreciate all of you that are. And so, because of all of those things, our budget is not being fully supported. And our board is fiscally responsible. Our commitment is to be good stewards of our assets, of our finances, of what we have. And we're really hard pressed to look at where would we reduce what we have in order to support the income that we have. And so there's a concern. Would we diminish our community if we had to start making some cuts? So we're inviting you to step up in the awareness that we have been at about a $30,000 deficit of this month, of this year, of meeting our expenses versus our budget. Our budget increased a minimal amount for important and relevant ways. And so one of the things that we are committed to doing is creating prosperity funding experiences. So on November 11th, we will be having what we're calling the Soulful Soiree, Elevate, Co-Create, and Celebrate. The tickets will cover the cost of that. We are looking at how, I want you to know that when I came here, it was very clear to me that as we move forward in co-creating and experiencing and rebuilding, rejuvenating our ministry, the mantra is meaningful, simple and meaningful. There is no reason to complicate anything. It's a formula for burnout. I know a lot of you were experiencing that in the past. But we want the results to be meaningful no matter what it is we're doing, not just to do something for the sake of doing it. And so this event is about how can we create a simple model of what you've done in the past to fund our community, but have a meaningful result. And so we have gone to Eventbrite as a way of selling tickets so it covers the costs, so that 100% of whatever we can raise from our silent auction goes 100% to Unity of South Sound. And we know that we need a social time. We need time to have fun, to connect, and to just relax. And I know last year people were missing the opportunity to dress up and just have that experience. So we're creating that experience for you. So Saturday night, November 11th, from 6 to 9, we will have music. We decided to make it simple by not having a sit-down dinner. So Jennifer has stepped up and we're creating what we're calling light bites. It's appetizer and dessert bites. So it's finger food, it's simple, and because we're looking at world religions and the universal spirituality, we're going to have a very international spread of light bites to make it fun. And our YOU are going to be our servers. They're going to step up and they're going to be, they may even be practicing the song from Beauty and the Beast, be our guest, come and be our guest. We'll see how that goes. Anyway, and so, but the primary aspect of that is for us to prosperity, raise our funds. And so I'm very grateful for the creative gifts we have within this community. And last year when we looked at the creative process, the creative arts, which have actually formally started to become a team, the creative arts team. The artists that bring that creativity in our ministry and the paintings that they created from the 7 days of creation, they are unique and individual inspirations from something that we were creating here in this ministry, and they are signed by the artist and they are priceless. And they are being offered for silent auction to be blessed in a home. And then we are calling for anything else that people might be able to contribute, but we don't have a team of people that are out soliciting things. We're not trying to create the past, but anything that could be of a benefit, we're welcome to receive that. So, there are opportunities for you to participate in that. One of the things that I recognize, because people have had to step up in such a great way in the past, there's been some resistance to doing that now, where people are being more cautious, and I appreciate that. But if we can break it down into smaller pieces, that's what we've done. We still can use some people to assist us in checking in people for that evening, for setting up between 4 and 6 beforehand, to be at the auction processing table, and to break down at the end of the evening. And so if you are called to be a piece of any of that, please sign up on our volunteer list or call the office and let us know, or just email me, revmegansouthsound@gmail.com. Another piece that will set up with that is that we will be introducing next Sunday our 2023-24 pledge campaign. So most of you are familiar with having that, where you make a pledge that this is my intention of giving for the next year on an annual basis, and we're asking everybody to make that commitment starting in December. If you're already doing that, it's like, please review that and re-pledge your commitment to this ministry. Next week, we will have the pledge forms available. They will be going out in our e-blast. There also will be a pledge, kind of a guideline letter to share more of the details and information. And I want you to realize that we continue to grow and evolve. We deeply appreciate your financial support and the gifts that people have been giving us to sustain us. And we invite you to participate in our sustainable growth by becoming a continued sustaining supporter through your consistent intentional giving. And it makes it easier when anybody can set up as an automated giving, because that way, if you're not here, we still can count on that as a monthly pledge, so we know how to balance our budget. So it involves committing to lovingly share a regular financial contribution, and our goal is to reach a budget contribution of $187,000, which is 85% of our estimated budget needs. We see that our pre-fall prosperity funding event on the 11th will help to subsidize that for this year, so we're hoping that it will help bring that balance. But your commitment is what we're looking for, is to increase our budget income by at least $2,500 more a month than what we've been realizing this year, and that will help us come to balance. And so whatever that might be per member, to break it down on a weekly or monthly basis, just to know that even $20 more a week makes a difference. It's really easy for us to fall into the thinking, oh my God, I can't, do that much more, but just a little bit more consistently really does make a difference. Your leadership team believes that we have the capacity within our ministry to manifest this reality as we make conscious commitments together, one contribution at a time. And setting up an automatic giving contribution, as I mentioned, is a very powerful way of being that sustaining supporter. And we do that because it's also part of our spiritual practice in the law of giving and receiving, to consider this as you contemplate your participation in the law of giving and receiving and your own personal prosperity journey. And I just want to bring an awareness of what is consistent, intentional giving. I know that the word tithing is a trigger word, and so I'm very consciously aware of that, and to give you that alternative way of looking at consistent, intentional giving. Whatever percentage you can give, tithe means 10. But if 10% is beyond your reality at this time, set the bar as high as you can to be intentional with your giving and consistent to make a difference. Consistent intentional giving is an opportunity to step into a greater flow and practice of giving and receiving. And it doesn't always involve money either. It can include your time, your talents, how you show up, your vibrational imprint in this ministry makes a difference. It's an opportunity into greater ownership of our spiritual community. We will be rolling out before the end of the year 2 other ways that you can participate with a legacy brochure, that things that maybe you hadn't thought about. So be watching for that. And so you see this lovely creativity before us right here, this tree that Carl Andrews has made. I am so in awe of, I share an idea with him and he goes, well, I could do, and then it just shows up. It's like beyond what I would have thought. And we had talked about using the tree of life as our theme because we're looking at traditions from the world religions and universal spirituality, and that there is this energy, a vibration of the life, and as we have the foundation, then it spreads out and it touches everyone everywhere, and we never know where it's going to go. And so he's created our tree of life with the many fruits, because the tree of life has the seed for every potential of possibility that exists, and so does this ministry. So as you make your pledge, we're going to have this tree more visual up here. We're taking all the fruits off, so that when you submit your pledge card, you will get to choose the fruit that represents your prosperity, put your name on it, and put it on the tree. So that every fruit on the tree then represents a pledge commitment to this ministry. And we're going to have it over a 4-week period so that we can really condense the process of giving and making a difference. So thank you for being a part of that. I also want to let you know we're going to create an opportunity for testimonial recordings. During this time, we're going to set up in Fireside Room, and there'll be 3 questions that you can answer, and we're going to ask people if you would like to make a video recording of why Unity of South Sound makes a difference to you and why you participate in what we are becoming. And we're going to share those things on our social media. We're going to put it on our website under About Us. And we'd like to share it as rotating some different testimonials as people come in so they can hear what you have to say about why this ministry makes a difference to you. We want people to hear that. So watch for that opportunity. Other things to look for is our music team. This has been a process. Just know everything's a process. So we have an idea, we want it to happen next week, but that's not the way it works. So I have a great library of music, and other people do too, and so we've been collecting the information and sharing it with our celebration music team, our song leaders, so that they can learn new music. And we will be slowly introducing it more to you, so you have a wider range and collective things to participate in. But another thing that I'm really excited about is I had a very collaborative conversation with Christine S., one of our guest musicians. And I had told her that I had had this vision that we would have our own song based on our mission, vision, and core values. And she said, I would love to collaborate on that. So she now has the song ready. She is recording it this week. And we will be sharing that music with our celebration team so they can learn it. And when she is here next, which will be November 12th, our last week of our Faith in Action, she will be introducing it and teaching it to everybody, so that we can begin to sing vibrationally our vision of what we're committed to be. And it's very high energy, it's simple, the core values is the chorus, it's very fun. So there's also other areas for you to serve, that we're holding the space for creating an event team. The event team would help us look at the calendar of events that we're planning for the year, and then be ready to coordinate and organize that and call then the special teams that are needed for each thing specifically. but they will be the go-to team for events. Likewise, we would like to have one for community outreach. As Heidi is stepping down from being the direct coordinator of those things, we have an amazing template of how to, but it doesn't have to be one person. That's why I call it a team. 2 or 3 people that come together that are the core of initiating those things and calling others into participating so that we don't miss the opportunities of being who we are. The newly forming creative arts team is a creative expression of how it can be showing up in other ways, not just how we're decorating for an event, but you know, the painting's down now. Barbara Baumel painted another painting as inspiration for this year's Faith in Action. They're putting together some amazing creative ideas of how to bring the Tree of Life to life downstairs in our banquet hall for our event. The columns we have are going to be the base of trees. How you can be a part of that. The creative arts team could include creative writing, it could be sharing a poem or a story, it could be ways we can invite you into participating. That's the creative process we want to be igniting, so I'm very excited that they're creating that. Our Harmony Helpers, the safety team, is waiting to have a few more people to engage that. We had a de-escalation training this summer and learned a lot of things we could do to set an emotion, just to be prepared for unexpected events. And so, again, it's an opportunity to be a part of that. Signing up to serve in sacred service. We have team coordinators that if you don't know how you want to serve, just sign up and they'll call you and you could talk about the gifts that you have and how you might share, and find one that works for you. It could be a one-time thing. It doesn't have to be an ongoing commitment. So just know how you can serve makes a difference. Michelle mentioned reviewing our transformative process as a spiritual center and what mission-centric is versus the older model of ministry-centric, and we just feel like with some communication there's been some confusion around that. And I realized some of that came from the fact that you have come through a transitional process where you did not have a committed full-time minister. You had a transitional minister, but that's an entirely different role. And it was in the midst of a pandemic that nobody is prepared to know how to manage that. And so the board had to step up in a lot of ways that it wasn't really normally the board's roles and responsibilities and things to do. And so I realized how that could create confusion. And so we get communication that it's sent to all of the board when it's really just my responsibility. So we want to kind of create that, the roles and responsibilities, and understanding that mission-centric does not preclude the minister's involvement, but that I'm more of an overseer of things so that I have to know what's going on. And I have a direct responsibility and supervision of staff and some of the, working with the service ministry coordinators and maybe some of the team leads. But then there's others that delegate and go out and fill in the details of things. So we're all collaborating together in this really fine-tuned organization of awareness of what we're creating together, so that the expectation isn't that the minister does everything and when things don't work, it's my fault. I take responsibility, but I also realize that there's a lot of things that aren't in our control, and so our board is committed to sharing, to be transparent as much as possible, and know that there is a communication line to ask your questions. If you're unsure, grab one of the board members and say, is this something I'm supposed to ask you, or is that something I go to a minister, or maybe it's one of the team leads. So having this little dialogue is very helpful, and to know that the board and I support each other, we communicate with each other. I use the leadership team as a sounding board for a lot of things that are my role and responsibility, but I appreciate their wisdom and their insight. The other thing is the board is about the governance, the financial responsibility, the establishing policy and procedure of approving staff positions and salary. But that's as far as they go with that. I have the direct supervision of hiring and releasing and co-managing those things, interacting with our sacred service teams, and then any sub-teams from the board the board is oversees and participates with. So that's just sort of a simple way of looking at the differences and realize that a lot of the decisions that are made are ultimately mine, not the board's, but I do collaborate with them because their wisdom makes a difference. And so with that, let's see, did I miss anything? We want to open it up to questions that you may have. And just to know that our goal is to present a positive, united front of dedication to discern and analyze and redefine our ministry to be in the abundant flow of our changing world. And it is changing all the time. Not to focus on lack concerns, but redirect ourselves into what we can do from where we are together as a spiritual community. Questions?
Thank you, Reverend Megan. And yes, Anita.
You said there were 3 areas of focus. Are those already identified?
Those are still in the process, but it primarily, most likely for most ministries, it's like our Sunday service, which is the core reason people come, and the music is a part of that. So music and message in the core services, and then it's our youth and family ministry and our community contributions. Yeah, and so it's not defined specifically. We're still part of because we're just stepping into the analysis to really see is like. And we had put a questionnaire out earlier this summer and actually surprised a lot of people didn't respond, but we do want to know which areas of the ministry make a difference the most in your life. And that will help us know where to put our primary focus.
And likely, because this process can be like a 2-year process.
Yeah.
So we're just kind of wrapping up the first part?
Yeah.
Are we? Yeah.
In the discernment part, and now we're going into analysis.
Analysis part, and then comes the part you're talking about. So it might take a little time, and I would imagine maybe we will find that it would be good to send out another survey or questionnaire to get feedback, from everybody, not just people who can be here in person.
Because there is a spiritual education piece of which the Sunday service serves to initiate, but then it's also, as our community evolves, how committed are people to participating in classes and workshops where we can go deeper into our practices together. I think that's an important aspect of how much we provide for that.
Yes, Diane, would you like a microphone? I forgot. Yeah, we have it online though. I forgot to repeat Anita's question. She was asking about what the 3 components we might focus on would be in the future.
And this might be a follow-up. If I knew when I was on TV, I would fix my hair, but oh well. All right, so organizational chart of accountability I'm looking at right now, it says board and minister, and then it kind of has 3 little boxes. It says board committees. What are the board committees?
Okay, so an example of that would be on the board when it comes time to do the budget, we decide
like a sub-team.
budget committee, and that's going to be all board members. But then there's other times when there's committees that would be like when we're taking nominations for the board that include community members, right? So there are committees that are created to do some of the board work that we might have to focus on, but we don't need the entire board to necessarily collaborate on.
And they're not functioning year-round. They serve a short-term purpose generally.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have any, I would say that you could say a sub, and I like the word team better than committees,
Yes,
is
I agree
our
with that.
visioning team, which we have is the full board that we're doing a secondary meeting. But I have to say, that is, a visioning team is something that I envision that we could create that have some interaction with the board. It doesn't have to be the full board. For anybody that's interested in being a part of that might look at even like strategic calendar events for prosperity and engagement.
Yes, and I mean, I know I'm excited to put together a calendar that's an annual calendar, so we all can mark our calendars and be knowing what's coming up in the future and not be surprised by, like for me, after coming out of the pandemic, what late picnic? You know, I forget, you know, when we had a couple years of not having things, it's hard to remember what our regular rhythm is. So maybe we also, you know, end up with a mixed committee or team, right, of that kind of thing. But usually I think board committees or teams would be more ad hoc and not like official, like board appointments and that kind of thing.
And I just want to share too, it's something that I have new awarenesses all the time, even though I'm what, into my 16th month or something. I have no history or awareness of what you did or how things were pre-pandemic or even during the pandemic. And so my history is from June 2022 with you. And I am still learning things that I've discovered. It's like somebody says, well, this is the way we do things, and I didn't know it. And so then it's like, oh, well, let's review that. Do we still want to be doing that way? Are we missing something? Is it something that could be refined or redefined? We also, and part of what you asked about, Diane, too, is that we realize that being more strategic and intentional with our planning, and we can look at the whole year overall, will benefit everyone and we'll be more prepared. One of the things we are going to be planning on our calendar is, because our commitment is to have some kind of a quarterly community interaction, is to put it on the calendar for the year instead of going, oh, this quarter we're supposed to do something, when are we going to do it? Which is kind of how we've been operating, but just because we've had a lot on our plate. But we're looking at, we can be more intentional in planning our engagements, and then that way it can help you know. And we also would like to plan food around those events so that it makes it easier to stay.
All right, any other questions? Yes, Annie, hang on one second.
Regarding the soiree or the fundraisers, do you set an intention of your goal, a financial goal that you want to make for each event?
I'm not sure that I heard everything you said.
Oh.
So for the soiree, for the silent auction, I'm guessing, or intentional donations, just extra donations at the event, but do we have a goal for that component? Now, the ticket price, our goal is, of course, to cover our expenses and whatever's extra, great. I believe it's the $30,000 shortfall.
We haven't really discussed setting an actual amount, and I appreciate your question. We have $30,000 that we have been short of meeting our budget this year. And so our goal is as much of that we can raise from having fun in our silent auction to help cover that so that we can be more in balance by the end of the year.
So we did in the past set financial goals for events, you know, like 25,000, well, probably started at 10 and 15 and up from there. So would it work for us to set a goal of 30,000 for this event?
It's interesting where your mind goes with things like that, because part of me goes, oh gosh, I don't know if that's possible. And yet, when we practice our prosperity practices of giving and receiving, we open to the universe of the potential of anything and everything. And we know that that's what would give us some ease and breathing room so that we know we can move forward next year without having to make any significant budget cuts, because I don't know where that would be. And then my human brain goes, is that realistic? Because I have to tell you honestly, my biggest challenge was feeling the awareness that we needed to create something like this and not having anybody step up to say, I'm willing to take leadership of this planning. And so I broke it down into pieces and asked different people to step up, but there's some shady gray spaces where some of that would have been more intentional had we had somebody that wasn't split in so many directions trying to oversee it. And that's not to put guilt on anybody. I appreciate where everybody is, but it's a reality, and that's kind of moving forward too. It's like, if we intentionally choose to do something, then is the support there to do it? Otherwise, maybe it's not ours to do. Or are we creative enough to see another way?
That's a hard, that's a hard discussion we've had, even as a board, is if we had to cut things, what would we cut? I mean, we're pretty already bare bones, really. And so it's kind of tough. So part of being a mission-centric community is that many hands make the work light. And when we rely on a handful of volunteers that are blessing us so much and overdoing, really, because we need people to help, and there's not the extra hands to help, then they're you know, they could burn out. We don't want to lose them, right? So even if there's the tiniest thing you could do, every hand helping helps, right? For us to accomplish what we want in this community.
And you know, and honestly, and thank you for bringing this up, Annie. If we're looking at setting a goal for our silent auction, 15,000 is probably realistic, and knowing that it takes us halfway to what we want to achieve, and that there's other ways for us to bring our abundance in, which is why we're going to be inviting, sharing at the end of the year, our legacy brochure and other ways that people can contribute that isn't necessarily cash from your bank account right now.
And it's also why on our pledge forms you'll see that the pledge form is to donate starting December 1st, not January 1st. We'll hope to do a little catch-up in December also. But you know, I'm a big proponent, as many of us are, of saying this God or something better. So if we set it at 15 or 30, this God or something way better, we will be very grateful to receive. Carl.
Just regarding the soiree, it's been kind of difficult to assess what is being offered.
I know.
There's art, and then there's other items, and I like the idea, because I'm an artist, of people, you know, maybe putting out the word that if there are personal artworks or sculptures or other things like that that they want to donate, that could be a part of it, that'd be great. But this whole, you know, other items thing, I think it would be better to have, for people to know, you know?
I 100% agree, and again, that kind of falls back into, because I have not had anybody overseeing putting that together. It's fallen on me, and I haven't had time. And so it's sort of like hopefulness. But I have to say that this morning, somebody came to me with a painting that they made to offer for our auction. So it's exactly what you just said. So what I'm hoping in the next week or so is to get something more specific, but it's like having somebody to write out the context, to actually know what it is, sort of waiting, because there hasn't been a team going out to solicit or gather those things or to put things together in a list. So it's kind of like happening organically, which is an interesting process. Mm-hmm. But I do appreciate that it would be more helpful to know more specifically, to get excited about the possibilities of what might be working on it.
And it's possible that we might, because I let Reverend Megan know I'm also swamped and overwhelmed, but I'm going to step in and also be a contact point person for anything like that. And I'm going to reach out to a couple people that have indicated that they may have something fun, like a boat cruise on their boat or something like that.
Actually, we do have somebody that's offered a boat cruise with a salmon dinner at sunset out of Seattle.
So I
just have to get that in writing.
As we start to get more things together. I mean, I'm the one who set up the Eventbrite because we don't have people helping with these things.
Yeah.
So I created an Eventbrite for us so that we could have these tickets. So it's like we're kind of going in an order of taking care of the urgent necessity things, and then the bonus things will progress to. And so hopefully I'll be able to get more clarity, and Reverend Megan will be able to get more clarity on what the extra items will be, but I think it'll be fun.
For the next event, you can call it an unnecessary. But actually, my question is more, I would like to know if we could maybe pre-purchase some tickets to have here to try to sell here at the church on Sundays between now and that Saturday event for the next few weeks, so that we could try to invite people who don't want to, or are not familiar with the internet, don't want to deal with trying to find this thing online, that they could just come in here and pay for it.
I understand that. I don't know how that, the reason that we're setting it up on Eventbrite, which was recommended by our social media coordinator, who is a virtual assistant basically, is that it's a more efficient way of putting it out there because it manages the information, it provides you, the communication link, the contact information in a very efficient way. But we do want to be able to do.
I can answer that. I run our Eventbrite for another board I'm on, which is related to my work. And I can, with my phone, I could sell you a ticket right now, today, with my phone. And I could take cash, which I guess check could be listed as cash, or I could take credit card just with my phone. It's not a scan. I have to type it in, so it's a little bit of a pain, but that's all right. So we can sell tickets on the spot. And if we have people that are on a team, we just share the login and the password, and those people can do it on their phone too. So we do have a way to do that. And that was an excellent question that is something that should be communicated, and I appreciate that because I hadn't thought about communicating that.
And initially, it would be a good idea if we could have a commitment of somebody every week to be available to do that. Starting next week, we are going to have, the board is taking care of a pledge table, but selling tickets, again, it's like getting somebody other than Heidi or some of the other people are already committed on a Sunday morning that could be available to help do that.
Could we also bring back the art pieces from last year and display them here so folks online can see them and build some energy around an interest, and maybe they'd even bid ahead of time or something, but
that would be a good idea.
To remind them of what they look, what they're
Actually, I was taking some photos of them too, so that we could have them online, the photo images and anything else that's a visual that we could take a picture of. The artists right now are supposed to be getting back to me with a description of those paintings, but thank you. We could possibly do that.
I love that idea because artwork is one of those things where a picture does not do it justice. So if we have it here, and then anybody who's here in person and people online, but people who are here in person can get the real feel of that in advance of the event. I love that idea.
And also just a complete list of things that are offered. I mean,
That's
if
being
people,
compiled.
If people know, what exactly is being offered, they get more excited about it, I think.
I agree. We could start a list and say more things being added.
That's what we're working on.
Every time
there will be
that she
actually
had
a
her hand up
formal
first. So,
Just a quick
handout for that too.
Michelle, I think I heard you say you were going to gather procurement ideas. Did I hear that? Okay. So is there a ad in our e-blast or anywhere that asks folks to perhaps offer ideas for auction items? Has that been published?
I'm sorry, I didn't quite get all of that.
Have we published to the general public and the congregation that we are soliciting ideas for auction items?
I'm pretty sure outside of me mentioning on Sunday that isn't because, again, it's an organizational piece in the midst of all the other moving parts.
But we could
Hasn't
have,
been initiated.
Maybe with this upcoming week, we could request Heidi to add into the e-blast that they can contact me or you and with any ideas they have.
Pictures were taken of all the artwork during the series last year. So you don't have to take new pictures because pictures were already taken.
Do you know where they're housed?
Well, I'm guessing they're on Heidi's computer.
Oh,
That would be my best guess.
okay, I will ask her because she had not mentioned that to me.
Thank you, Ginger. Oh, thank you. Hang on a second. Do you have a mic back there, Amy?
I do have a mic back here.
She's magic. She's so magical.
I just have a suggestion since there is such a, not many people helping with this, but as far as buying tickets on Eventbrite, if somebody could sit down, excuse me, and write down the step-by-step of how to do it through the website, post it on our daily or our e-blast, and maybe have flyers, that might help with that too.
That's a great idea, and I can create that, with a visual
Yeah,
task list, if you will, if you click the buy a ticket button and what it's going to ask for and all that kind of stuff.
right.
Yeah, great idea, Amy, thank you. Did I see other hands? Yeah.
So does that make you the point person for the board contact for this team that you're trying to set up for events?
For this event, because there's no other point person, I will be the point person, and you all will need to have some patience. I'll be starting a new job on November 1st. That's been an 11-month search, and let me tell you, looking for jobs like that is a full-time job. Some applications take 3 hours. So, anyway, I'm grateful for my new journey, and just be patient with me, because it would not have been something, because I'm already doing a lot as your board president and everything like that, that it would not have been something I would have probably stepped into if there was somebody else, but I am happy to do it because we need somebody. So yes, anybody can contact me or Reverend Megan. And I should clarify, rather than with ideas for things for the auction, what we're looking for is not things we're going to have to follow up on because we don't have capacity. So if they say, I mean, Annie, you and I know, because we've done this together in the past, oh, you could go to this place and ask for them to donate something or whatever, we won't be able to do that. What we're looking for is, I have 4 tickets to the Seattle Art Museum that I want to donate. Right? We're not really looking at putting together baskets because, again, we don't have capacity.
Mm-hmm.
We're looking at
We could take gift
simple
cards, though.
and effective.
Yeah.
If somebody has a basket,
At this point, we're not saying no to anything anybody brings us.
right? If somebody has already put together a basket, fabulous. That's fantastic. We welcome it.
But what I would preface that is that I would ask anybody that does that is to also bring us a written description of the item, because otherwise I have to sit down and write all that stuff, and I have to get it to Heidi in a timely way to put together the brochure of all of that information.
And estimated value. Is that what you were raising your hand?
4 weeks out, so you have like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
I just want to volunteer to help you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Annie. She's going to be my right-hand lady right there. And Reverend Megan. We'll make the 3 Musketeers. Anybody else?
I just want to officially say that I am volunteering to help with anything that needs it for the soiree.
Well, and you already are, because you're part of the creative arts team and the inspiration of the
this
visuals.
magical thing right here. David?
I'll throw my hat in the ring too, but all I would need is for somebody to reach out and say, do this, and I'll be there.
Thank you.
You rock, David. Are you writing down names? Because now we're...
I am writing down names.
That was overload for a minute. All right, yes, Barbara. Hang on.
So, I'm heading up the arts team at this point. I just sent you, Megan, today, this morning, an email asking a lot of questions around this. Now, so some of these things have been answered today, and I'm kind of like, okay, so as I've gotten more involved, I've learned a lot more, and it's like some of the assumptions that people have had around what faith in action is and so forth. There's been a whole amalgam of understanding that's come to pass. But I do feel like we need to pay attention to the details, and so I'm glad to hear this. I have a part in this too, so I'll be sorting some of this out. But Carl and Julie have been a real part of the setup, and Ginger's been more idea, but she's not going to be here for the setup piece and the decorating. But she's doing some of the behind-the-scenes stuff with us. So at this point, going forward, I know that Diane has talked about hospitality possibly being involved in some of the setup. So, and then, of course, we've got Jennifer, who's working with getting the tables, the bistro tables, and doing the catering. So it's like I'm doing my part because it's like the vision hasn't been clear, and I'm saying, like, okay, what are the categories? Okay, Heidi's handling the paperwork. We've got the setup and tear down. We've got the art descriptions. So I'm glad to hear that we've talked about this and that it's taking shape. So I'll be talking with you soon.
Well, and it has been compartmentalized. And so like Jennifer's taking over the whole food organization, ordering the food, planning it, how it's going to be served, the setup of all of that. And so I'm not concerned about that piece of it. Michelle had...
Everybody needs to know what the sheet of music that we're all playing on. What's the score?
Right, and I thought I'd shared that as much detail as we had with who's involved, but it's been organic. And the big piece that we didn't have anybody was overseeing the silent auction part of gathering, any addition other than the art, the descriptions, and making sure we have the written content to Heidi to print
That'll
things.
be me now. And that's why, too, it would be such a blessing for our community if somebody steps up as an event coordinator for in general, or even just for specific events, just because it's hard when each of us are gerbils on the wheel sticking a little leg out to take care of things to get the sheet of music out to everybody, right? So have patience with us little gerbils sticking our little legs out while we're spinning around. All right, anybody else?
Are you taking donations for this, for services as well, or not?
Do you have, so I know in the past we have had, Trinda provided, was it memory regression services or something? Past life services and stuff. And those, if that's what yours, yes,
I didn't actually hear the
those are of
question.
value to the community. I think our community, correct me if I'm wrong, people of our community, love things that are service related, like we had Rona Yellow Robe. That's music, but it's also a service because that's coming and providing music, right? And that was, I think, fairly popular, and I think some of the services, it just depends. I know there were some services in the past that were not necessarily taken up on, but I would welcome a service offering.
I didn't hear her question.
Okay, so the question was, would we be open to accepting donations of services?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think that can be, as long as you write out the description of the service and maybe, what the benefit of that service might be
And
to
the
help
value.
people understand it, yeah.
Great question. And I think we've had, just to throw some creative ideas out there in case any of you guys are I think we've had before, didn't we have a chef? Or somebody who made a dinner, and so there was a private dinner for 8 or whatever the number was. Somebody offered that service. I remember that was a few years ago, it seems like.
It was like a potluck or some kind of dinner that you could bring to a home, and it was surveying people. I remember donating
Yeah.
dinner.
There is something. So creative services, I mean, auto detailing, I mean, whatever is out there, I think come to me or Reverend Megan with whatever. Send us, ideally, I think for me, I don't know about for you, an email would be great that describes what the item is and what the approximate value is, because then we've already got what we need, and maybe a picture if it's a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So if it's a service, you may have like a business card image or something.
Right.
Or doing whatever the service might be.
Right. These are wonderful questions and ideas, by the way. Any questions online? Okay, any other questions here in person? Okay, I'm going to give you my email. I think you know Reverend Megan's. Rev Megan.
With an H.
With an H.
South Sound, not of.
Okay, Rev Megan South Sound at gmail.com.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And mine is my name with a period between the first and the last. And remember, unlike my tag, it's not Millsap, it's Michelle. Although that would work too, because I still have that old email. Michelle, M-I-C-H-E-L-E, 1 L, period, Zwasta, which is Z-W-O-S, like Sam, T like Tom, A, at gmail.com. Michelle, well, and you could look us up on the website. You'd see my name and just know it's first name, period, last name at gmail.com. Gmail. Or alternately, actually, you guys, this is another thing I did this year. I set up our board with Office 365. This is probably the better email to use. I'm just not used to giving it out. I am board president at unityofsouthsound.com, or .org.
.org.
Excuse me. Board president at unityofsouthsound.org. It's probably best for you to get used to using that email, because going forward, the next board president will have that same email.
Mm-hmm.
It makes it easy for the board members to be contacted. We're set up with like board secretary at unityofsouthsound.org and so on and so forth. So we just haven't advertised it yet because we're still transitioning into the use of that tool.
So is there a title, like donation organizer?
Carl asked if there's a title like donation organizer. I would just say...
I would say silent auction in order, so it doesn't get confused with other forms of donations.
Yep, or soulful soiree.
Mm-hmm.
Soulful soiree, which can be a spelling issues, but so silent auction 2023 idea, you know, donation, whatever it is. If you have questions, feel free. That was a great question. Again.
Is there any questions that have come up from online people? No? Okay, good.
Any other questions in here?
All right, well, we're really grateful for each of you, your love, your support, your really just seeing this spiritual community as something that makes a difference in your life. I'm becoming more and more aware of the significance of having a spiritual community to be a part of, and how we can find that place of comfort, and also how to stretch and grow from, in a place that we're welcomed and have like-minded, that we're not dealing with some of the other adversarial things in the world outside of us. So we're better prepared for going out in the world.
Yeah, we're collaborative.
And this is a way to practice it.
If we have concerns or issues, we come together and don't triangulate. You know, like if I have an issue with you, I meet with you weekly, so I can certainly let you know that. But if I didn't meet with you weekly, I could always come directly to you, or Carl if I had a beef about the tree.
Yeah, going
I
directly
wouldn't go ask
to,
Reverend Megan about it. If I had a beef with your tree, I would come to you, right?
we can't have a beef
we
with
collaborate.
creativity.
I have no beef with the tree because it's beautiful.
The tree of all potential.
It's an amazing tree. It's just like our community.
Well, I originally made it so that we could have people's name on the back who, are going to donate.
And that's the plan.
And then they could take it home with them so that they would have something to remember, of this whole event, and that they were a part of it.
And that is what we're going to be doing, so that it's a gift you get to receive as a reminder of the fruit that you represent for our ministry.
Yeah. And we'll have it on the tree during Faith in Action, so everybody can see all the beautiful gifts, and then they could take it home.
Will there be more fruit on the tree? I'm making them right now.
David asked if there were, for those online,
We will have a fruit
on the
for
tree.
everyone.
Carl said he's making them.
There's 5 types. There's only 5 types, but they're northwest found. Grapes, peaches, apples, acorns, plums. They're northwest. I thought of making bananas, but those are nowhere in Washington or.
See, there was some very thoughtful conception that went into this, so. Anyway, there's, and I see as we evolve, it is an invitation of sharing. And so please, if you have a question, a concern, come to me. And if it's something that needs board collaboration, my intention is to bring it. Also, my intention is when there is a perceived issue, is how can we approach it from a positive, proactive, supportive way of how do we learn from this? What is it that we need from a situation? It's not about pointing fingers or making anybody wrong. And I'm the first one to say that I don't have the answers to everything.
Yep. For those of you who have taken it already, if you haven't, it's a great if you find it, you should take it. But Quantum Living, or the nonviolent communication classes, they're amazing about helping us to remember when we're collaborating or communicating with people, to be listening. I just watched something with giraffe ears rather than jackal ears, right? So instead of the jackal ears saying, what's this about me? And, oh, you don't get all defensive and whatever else. Giraffe ears are, this person is, what do they need? What is it they're communicating with me that they need?
It's being in your heart. It's being in your heart.
Yeah, sharing. It's heart connection, right? That's us.
To the best of our ability.
Ugh.
Knowing that we have learning moments, all of us.
We are human still.
Yes.
Okay.
So
well, if there's no further questions, I'll let Reverend Megan wrap it up.
So I just want to bring all the ideas and all the energy that we've experienced, just to bring it into our hearts and to feel it and know that we are planting seeds that will be germinating in beautiful and magnificent ways. As we move forward, we are a co-creative experience. And as we allow ourselves to be a blessing, we are blessed in return. And so it is. Amen.
We thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.